A cure for wellness. Oh man. There's so much to talk about, and there's so much to dive into when it comes to this film. And I'm going to talk my head off about it without getting into any spoilers, so don't worry. This is a spoiler-free review, so forget about it. This bad boy is directed by Verbinskis, and I honestly really haven't seen any of his other previous films. The only ones I've seen are The Ring and Rango, and those two were pretty great films. I didn't see The Lone Ranger because why the hell would I? So A Cure for Wellness stars Dane DeHaan, and I happen to be familiar with him from A Place Beyond the Pines. Most of y'all might know him from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but not me because I don't associate myself with that kind of negativity. And he plays a young, cocky executive who is sent to go retrieve the CEO of his company who has been staying in a very questionable wellness center because they need him to take legal responsibility for a huge company merger that's coming up. And the result is him staying much longer than he was supposed to at the wellness center, and he gets much more than what he bargained for, to say the least. Currently, as I'm talking, this film has a 39% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which does not do this film justice at all. I mean, it's definitely not a perfect film. It has its issues, and we'll get into some of that later. But a 39% approval rating? That is honestly ridiculous. What really drew me to go see this film in the theater was laying my eyes on the cinematography that I saw in the trailer. And boy, did it not disappoint in that department. I mean, aesthetically, this film is flawless. Everything down from the production design, the cinematography, the directing, the sound design, the props, the special effects, the acting. Aesthetically, this film is perfect, and it really is a visual feast. In terms of character depth, plot, and storytelling, it has its strengths and weaknesses. A lot of people were worried that this was going to be too much like Shutter Island, but it's not really. I mean, it definitely has its parallels and its similarity, but they're very minuscule. They are definitely two completely different films, so don't get too hung up on this being a Shutter Island copycat, because it's not. What I really appreciated about the film's plot is that it's extremely ambitious, it's creative, and it definitely capitalized on its R rating. I mean, there are a handful of scenes in this film where you're just thinking to yourself, like, damn, like, they actually went there and they went all the way with it. Like, they did not hold back at all with showing what they wanted to show. And I extremely appreciate that, especially in a Hollywood-produced film like this. There's also a fair amount of scenes in this film that induce sheer terror and hopelessness to where it just makes you want to grip your seat and just hope that the scene ends before you pass out and shit yourself in the process. And that's honestly a great thing because, needless to say, I was never bored in this movie. I mean, this film is a whopping 2 hours and 26 minutes long, but I never found myself bored or looking at my watch at any point in time of this film. I mean, it definitely felt its runtime. I'm not saying that this film didn't feel like it was 2 hours and 26 minutes long. You definitely feel every minute of this movie, but you're really invested the entire time, or at least I was. There was never a time where I wanted the film to end. And there was actually 3 or 4 different times where I thought the film was going to end, and at first I was kind of upset, but each time that it started telling more, I was pretty invested and I was really entertained at what they were showing me. But at the same time, the film's flaws lie in its writing as well, and the way that it chose to propel its story along with certain character decisions that are made throughout the film. Like, there's a certain point where our main character continues to make these decisions on something, and you're kind of wondering why, because he already knows that there's something funky about it, and you're also kind of wondering why he's kind of just going along with the whole system. And you're also kind of wondering why our main character waited so long to make certain decisions. I mean, I know our main character is supposed to be young, cocky, and naive, but you would still think that any logical, sane person would kind of stop doing something already, or he would have done something beforehand already. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I mean, I would actually love to watch it again just to see if I'm wrong on this or not. But I don't know. As of now, it kind of seemed like the writer just honestly maybe just didn't know how to keep the main character confined in the wellness center. But the writing, again, also had some strengths. I mean, I thought this film had a great overarching theme about how, maybe we should question our own sanity in our daily routine in our society. And it was a very consistent theme throughout, and it was extremely reflective on the main character. Now, the third act is going to be a game changer for a lot of people. The third act is the moment where some people might consider this film garbage, or some people are just going to roll with it. And I was one of those people who kind of just rolled with it, and I was fairly entertained with what I was watching. It's not ambiguous, it definitely goes for it and attempts to tell a very interesting and dark story, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's the moment where it kind of turns from a logical science-based movie to just like a straight-up fantasy science fiction film. Now, it's not a perfect third act. I mean, there's some things that I didn't like about it, but overall, I really enjoyed it because it was creative and it was extremely thrilling. So overall, I mean, this film was thrilling, it was entertaining, it was dark, it was horrifying. The aesthetics are perfect, especially the cinematography, and it's got some writing issues and some storytelling issues, but overall, I found it to be an extremely extravagant film, and I was extremely surprised with its creativity and the adventure that it thrilled me with. So I'm going to give A Cure for Wellness a B+. I recommend those who appreciate all aspects of filmmaking to go out and see this film in a theater, because I think you can really find some fulfillment and enjoyment in it. Thank you so much for hearing what some person that you've never heard of had to say about a film that probably most people are not going to go see. And if you really enjoyed this review, I left some links down in the description box so you can see those. And also subscribe to the Misfit Pond channel for more film-related content. Thank you very much.